Nick Wrenn. You're the Vice President of Digital Services for CNN International,
That's right? Yeah.
I would like to know your opinion about the future of journalism. If you just start with the sources, for example, will you just describe the change, the eventual change, how we're using different kinds of sources?
Yeah, newsrooms have changed in the past few years, and CNN's newsrooms have changed. We've had to adapt. I mean, we're an established news organisation, 31 years old now, but the advent of digital publishing and the ability of anyone in the world to publish direct onto the internet at any given time has meant that we've had to respond to that and see it as an opportunity and not a threat. And one of the big innovations that CNN's done was incorporate a set of iReport, and iReport is our own social media user-generated content platform within CNN. So anybody can upload anything that they want. It might be kind of soft, funky stuff like recipes or cool video of their pets, or it might be some really hard news footage of a breaking news story or a news event. And what we do is set up a team which vets the ones which we think are important for the stories that we're covering, and if we can authenticate them, we will bring them into our television coverage and we'll put them online as well. And having this
can you monetize the reports from the beginning, like the user-generated content? Is that the media
we didn't do it to make money. That wasn't why we did it. We did it to improve the range of our news reporting and to grow audience. I think there was an acceptance that CNN cameras cannot be everywhere in the world when a story happens, but in these days with everybody armed with a smartphone, news gets uploaded really, really quickly. So we needed that network of iReporters to help us tell the story and also to tell us what's important. So iReport, along with our own journalists around the world and our trusted television affiliate channels, have become an integral part of our news gathering.
Did you create that concept to attract new audience, or as a smart source to stories?
Both.
Both.
Yeah, both.
And if you would like, priority some of these, the audience have always, been tipping you about, stories.
Yeah.
Right? But now you have opened it more public.
Yeah.
So why is the reason for that?
Well, take it back 4 years, and we were thinking what would happen if there was another incident in New York like 9/11. Then, when it happened, there were probably 12, 20 television cameras on the scene within minutes. These days, there'd be tens of thousands of streams. We wanted those CNN to be a part of that, and for those people to be a part of CNN. And we found that iReporters really want to share their stuff with us. They don't want just to keep it to themselves or keep it to their own social networking. They want to share it with us, and they want to have it on CNN.
Kate said that we are not only a media, we are a club, a telegraphy club.
Yeah.
Is that one of the reasons that people are contributing the content to CNN, iReport, instead of just contributing anyway?
Yeah.
And they still do, of course, but how comes that people are contributing to the iReport instead of just contributing? Is that through the club? Or
it's partly down to the iReport team who do a lot of work building relationships and with some of the more prominent iReporters. They put in the time to call them up, to give them feedback, and they've started to do what they call iReport boot camps, which gives sort of training classes for them.
And what is the difference between iReport and Open Stories?
Open Story is a new concept which we've just started as part of iReport, and it's the thinking that there's often so much news and information, so many sources on a particular story, that you had to go around different parts of the site to piece it all together. So what we want to do is do a better job around the big stories of bringing it all on one page. And we started it at South by Southwest. We did the first one as a beta. With Japan, when the quake happened in the 2 or 3 days after it, we had 700 iReports within 72 hours. So we we selected the best and put them together on one page. So you've got a sort of a slider with icons for various iReports as they came in. So you've got 107 iReports, one story on one page.
And some of these you are moderating, right? Or
we the ones that we use and the ones which we bring into CNN reporting, we check.
And you mark them with some some mark, right?
Yeah, there's a stamp that says, on CNN. Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Okay. Your journalists are also using like crowdsourcing in some way. Can you describe for the audience what about crowdsourcing? What that means for you and your journalists? I reported some of it, but I reported some of it. We're trying to do more with Twitter. And it gives us a very good perspective, but sometimes it only gives us one perspective in one country or among a particular audience. So we don't want crowdsourcing to dictate our news agenda. We find it very helpful, and it's essential for us to know what people are talking about. But that we wouldn't do a rundown on the most top 5 trending stories, for example. Jeff Charles used to talk about collaborative journalism, but also like collaborative between journalists and also between crowds. And he used to say that it's a vision is not a vision, how do you say, that you could do this public in your media. You start with a synopsis. You get a tips and idea, and you start with a synopsis, and it's all this public. And you collect all this contribution, and you start to organize that. But everything is public. What do you say about that kind of?
Well, in a way, that's what we are doing on iReport. There's a lot of public information. We take out content which we deem to be offensive or hateful, but otherwise, it's a big open platform. And I think that that what we're trying to do with Open Story is to curate the story better. Instead of writing 300 words and giving 3 pictures and maybe a couple of iReport videos, is to let people who are really interested in that topic immerse themselves in a lot more information. And the challenge is how we lay it out, how we make it, how we present it in a way which is attractive.
But the research is not public. How do you mean with that? And try to explain that. And so there's not a dialogue public on the iReport, but it's just contribution.
Not direct. No, that dialogue isn't public. But we want to bring in more of our sort of dialogue that we have with our audience on the sound off comments on the bottom of stories and the way that we use Twitter and Facebook to reach our audience.
I also see some trends that journalists are more eager to get news tips. They're putting out their profiles in different kind of social context, and they sometimes explicit just say, have you any tips for me? And there's an open forum for tips and so on. What have you any comments to that? Are your journalists dealing with that also, or are they moving out into the social content digging for tips?
Well, they're certainly involved in social media, because that's just an important, just a great raw source of information. So they've probably got different tactics, and but you also can't beat good old-fashioned making contacts face to face, in my opinion. Social media is important, computers are important, but that part of the skill of a journalist is building trust, and you can't always do that through tweets. You need to meet the person face to face.
I have a friend in Sweden working on one of the top newspapers, and he said to me, I really want to cover this company on Facebook, but I don't want to like these guys. I don't want to be friends, because Facebook is connecting with friends and family. So that's a problem.
As a reporter, and I'll give you a political example. As a reporter, you've probably got to follow a range of politicians, and to do that you probably have to like their Facebook page or sign up to their Twitter account. That doesn't mean to say you endorse their politics. It just gives you an access to their information. So I think that's key to understanding that point.
Okay. From journalism to media, a few more questions, is the business model. of course, it's been a hot topic for at least 2 years. Paywalls, not paywalls, freemium models.
Yeah.
What do you think? Rupert Murdoch, not Rupert Murdoch.
Well, far be it from me to tell Rupert Murdoch what to do. He's a very smart businessman who's made some very smart business decisions all of his life. From our point of view, from CNN's point of view, we don't have any plans right now to put anything behind the paywall. But who knows what will happen in the future.
Okay. So, for your, you don't think social media is a threat? It's
an
only a possibility.
Oh, absolutely.
An opportunity for you guys.
Yeah.
Well, my question here: if they are bypassing the traditional media, using this Flipboard, and Kate said that most of these sources are traditional media, or at least traditional journalists blogging. I don't agree. There's so many people there with so much knowledge, so much competence, reporting so much information about their specific subjects. So I got tons of information from which is in line with my interests. So I can see some threat anyway. So because my eyeballs is, and many of my friends' eyeballs is, in some way turning from the traditional media into its direct sources, which I trust. In some way.
Yeah, well, it's as
maybe it's not spread now. I
as Martin Sorrell would say, is social media a friend or foe or a fro? It's obviously, if you asked me who CNN's biggest competition was online 10 years ago, you'd have said BBC, New York Times, established media, and then it became some of the aggregators like Google and YouTube and then social media. Basically, it's anywhere where people might go to get the news and information that isn't CNN. So, obviously that's competition, and it's a really, really crowded marketplace. But for me, that keeps us on our toes. That means that, a news organisation like CNN, which is 31 years old, still has to innovate and still has to, be very, very knowledgeable about the media landscape and be flexible to change and adapt. And I think we do a pretty good job of that to stay relevant. We've innovations like iReport, like Open Story, like the way we work with Twitter and around the World Cup, the way we work with Facebook around Barack Obama's inauguration and Michael Jackson's memorial service, and big stories like that, is us changing and adapting. Because if we stay still, we will wither and die. So you have to keep innovating and you have to keep changing, and I think we've got a good track record of doing it.
So how much traffic you got from the social media today?
I don't have precise stats for you, but it's we get a lot of referrals from social media.
It is.
Yeah.
Also most from Google, right?
From Google, from Facebook, from Twitter.
Okay.
Yeah.
LinkedIn today, the new concept. What do you think about that regarding packaging content and Are you familiar with the service?
I am, yeah,
okay.
and I'm not as familiar with it that I can give you a total critique, but I would say that anybody that's playing in this space and is innovating and putting something new out there is doing a good service to the media. Okay. It's up to us to see how we can use it and work with it as traditional media, how we can best use it and work with it.
Okay. Thank you very much, Nick.
Pleasure.
Yeah, great pleasure. Thank you very much.
Nice to see you.
Nick Wrenn, CNN expert at Social Media Forum.